Flow, a little-known Latvian animated film, stunned the industry by winning Best Animated Feature, beating out some of the biggest names in Hollywood. Now, when I say big names, I mean it. Flow was up against Disney and Pixar's highly anticipated sequels, Inside Out 2 and Moana 2, which had massive budgets and expectations. Inside Out 2 cost a reported $200 million to make, while Moana 2 had a budget of around $150 million. But that's not all. Flow also defeated films from Dreamworks, Netflix, and Aardman's collaboration on Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul, and Universal's The Wild Robot. So, how did this small Latvian film pull off such an incredible feat? Well, first of all, it's important to note that Flow was made on a budget of just $3.7 million. That's right, $3.7 million, compared to the hundreds of millions spent on its competitors. It's a true underdog story. The film was directed by Gints Zilbalotis, a 30-year-old filmmaker from Latvia. Now, Latvia isn't exactly known for its booming film industry, but Zilbalotis and his small team poured their hearts into this project. Flow actually premiered at the prestigious Cannes Film Festival, where it received high praise from critics. From there, it went on to win awards at festivals like Annecy, Ottawa, and even picked up honors from the Los Angeles and New York film critics circles. This little Latvian film was making big waves in the animation industry. In fact, Flow's Golden Globe win was a historic moment. It marked the first time a Latvian film had ever won the award. During his acceptance speech, Zilbalotis shared a personal anecdote about how making the film mirrored the story itself. He had previously worked alone on his projects, but for Flow, he had to learn to collaborate with a team, just like the cat in the movie who learns to work with other animals. It's a beautiful parallel. Watching Flow really reminded me of playing the game Stray last year. In that game, you also play as a cat navigating a strange, post-apocalyptic world. I remember being so immersed in the atmosphere and the story, feeling that same sense of isolation and the need to rely on other characters to progress. What I love about both these two is they take these familiar gameplay and storytelling concepts and filter them through the unique perspective of a cat protagonist. It's such a creative way to explore these themes of survival, adaptation, and cooperation. Playing Stray definitely enhanced my appreciation for what Flow manages to achieve as a film. Really recommend it. But let's talk more about how Flow was actually made, because this is where the story gets even more impressive. The entire film, from start to finish, was created using Blender. For those who don't know, Blender is a free, open-source 3D software that anyone can download and use. It's not some proprietary high-end software that costs thousands of dollars. And that's exactly what Zilbalotis and his team did. They took this free tool and created a work of art that stood toe-to-toe with films made by the biggest studios in the world, with budgets hundreds of times larger than theirs. In terms of the actual film itself, Flow has such an emotional storytelling. The movie has no dialogue whatsoever. That's right, not a single word is spoken. Yet through the animation and the anthropomorphic actions of the characters, it manages to convey a range of complex emotions and ideas. At its core, Flow is a story about nature, survival, and the power of teamwork. The film follows a cat who finds itself in a world turned upside down by a flood. To survive, the cat must learn to work with other animals, each with their own unique skills and personalities. It's a simple premise, but one that allows for a deep exploration of these themes. One of the things that really struck me about Flow was the realism of the animal animations. The way the cat moves, the way the birds fly, the way the dog runs, it all feels incredibly authentic. You can tell that the animators put a huge amount of effort into studying real animal movements and behaviors. And the sounds, the animal vocalizations, the rushing water, the rustling leaves, they all add to the immersive experience. But the animation style itself also serves a narrative purpose. There's a certain roughness to it, a kind of sketchy, unpolished quality. But rather than feeling like a flaw, this actually works in the film's favor. It's as if the imperfections in the animation are mirroring the imperfections in life itself. Just as the cat's journey is not smooth or easy, neither is the animation that depicts it. It's a subtle but effective artistic choice. Now, I want to shift gears to the other side of this story. Disney's recent struggles in the Best Animated Feature category. For a studio that's synonymous with animation, Disney has had a surprisingly tough time at the Oscars lately. If Flow or any other non-Disney film takes home the Oscar this year, It will mark the longest stretch without a win for Disney in the history of the Best Animated Feature category. That's a big deal when you consider just how dominant Disney and Pixar have been since this category was introduced. In fact, since the Best Animated Feature category began in 2001, Disney and Pixar have never gone more than 2 years without a win. That's a pretty incredible streak, and it speaks to the insane pull of their films. I don't want to proclaim all of those wins are rightful, though, but the streak was broken in 2022 when Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, a stop-motion film from Netflix, took the prize. And then in 2023, legendary Japanese director Hayao Miyazaki's The Boy and the Heron won, marking another year without a Disney victory. Disney's last win in this category was in 2021 for Encanto. Don't get me wrong, Encanto is a fantastic film and a worthy winner. But since then, Disney has been in a bit of a dry spell, at least when it comes to the Oscars. Take Strange World, for example. Despite its ambitious attempt to explore a retro sci-fi aesthetic and themes of environmentalism, the film was widely criticized for its lack of a cohesive story and underdeveloped characters. I personally felt it struggled to strike an emotional chord. Box office numbers reflected this disconnect. Audiences simply weren't drawn to the movie, and it became one of Disney's most notable flops in recent years. Disney's recent struggle to win Oscars comes down to one big issue. Their movies just aren't hitting the same. Over the past few years, Disney has leaned heavily into live-action remakes and sequels, but the magic that made their originals so beloved doesn't seem to be translating. Well, I'm talking about you. There's also a broader problem. Disney seems more focused on playing it safe and banking on nostalgia instead of telling bold, original stories. That might work for the box office, but it's not what gets Oscar voters excited. And let's not forget the controversies, like the backlash over casting and direction in the upcoming Snow White. These things hurt the studio's reputation and can turn off both fans and critics. Disney and Pixar now find themselves in a position where they can't just rely on their brand power or their massive budgets. They need to innovate, to push the boundaries of storytelling, and to create films that truly resonate with audiences. They've done it before, and I have no doubt that they can do it again. But they'll need to work harder than ever to maintain their spot at the top. Flo's Golden Globe win isn't just a victory for one film or one studio. It's a victory for animation as a whole. It's a sign that this medium we love is evolving, diversifying, and reaching new heights. As we move into the future, I think we can expect to see more films like Flo, films that challenge our expectations, that push the boundaries of what's possible, and that remind us of the limitless power of storytelling. Thanks for sticking with me to the end of this video. If you enjoyed my thoughts on this, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more movie reviews, award season coverage, and general gaming and film industry discussion. Peace, and I'll see you in the next one.